minister for 10 years, and one of my favorite questions to ask people is like, how did you find us? What led you to come to Unity? We all have a story of how we come to Unity, and we all have a story. I know that. We all have a story. My friend Elizabeth came to Unity because she started dating somebody who was a regular congregant. And as she continued to date this person, they fell in love, and it was the kind of grand love affair that you just know is going to last forever. They saw the world through the same eyes. They read the same books. They watched the same movies. They came from similar backgrounds. They were both born of Cuban immigrants who grew up and matured and came to their adulthood in their 70s, and they just knew it was going to be forever. Until it wasn't. And I would like to say that Elizabeth went off and asked her minister for support. But what she did was she went to the bookstore to look for a book, and there was a lady standing there whom she had sat next to for many Sundays, and she began to pour out her tale of woe, and the lady said, I'm going to Unity Village for 2 weeks to take spiritual education and enrichment classes. And Elizabeth said, how do I sign up? They both jumped on a plane that night, went off to Unity Village in Missouri for 2 weeks. It was October. The campus was magnificent. Every day at lunch, Elizabeth would go out and walk the nature trails. She connected with the geese who were getting ready to fly south for the winter. She connected with the deer. She connected with the turkeys. And she connected with the trees. The trees were full of purple and gold and red and brown leaves. And as they fell, Elizabeth began to see the trees as her teacher. That there was a season for letting go, and that it was natural, and that it was necessary. Have you ever felt like that you have been in different seasons in your lives? Because seasons are more than just calendars, months on a calendar. They're emotional seasons, and there are seasons where we have more or less responsibility. Here are some seasons. There's the waiting for something season. We planted the seed and we are waiting for it to grow. Grinding season is very American. It's all about work, 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 work. The resistance season where we get stubborn and we're not going to do it, and you can't tell me to do it, and I'm going to rebel because I'm not going to do it. Did I say I'm stubborn and I'm not going to? That's the season of resistance. Tests and trials at nearly every turn season. Sometimes we forget to rely on God. Sometimes we put more faith out there than we do in here. And sometimes we just need those seasons to remind us of what's important to us. And then there's the dry season, when we know that we're thirsty or we're hungry for something more. So I imagine that you see yourself, at least at some point in your time, at least in one or more of those seasons, because that's the way we are. That's the way we roll. What I didn't say is the happy season, and some of you may be in the happy season, but I think the happy season is almost transcendent to all those other seasons, because the kingdom of God, the kingdom of heaven, that joy, that love, that peace can be in every season. But this is the season of fall. We're in the second month of the fall season, and it's the time of harvest. Now, on my father's side, I'm only one generation removed from the farm. My father's family, for generations and generations, and I don't really know how many, go back as farmers. So I have farming in my blood. I have farming in my DNA. And I know this much about farming because he grew up in the Midwest. And I was born and raised in Hawaii, thousands of miles away from any farm he ever worked. But farming is a beautiful metaphor and powerful in its own metaphysics throughout the Hebrew scriptures and the Christian scriptures. It gives us an opportunity to look at life a little bit differently. In Deuteronomy, it's written, "Look, I have given you every seed-bearing plant that grows on the earth and every fruit-bearing tree. They will be your food and nourishment." And this is a metaphor for God saying all your needs will be met. You have everything you could ever want or need. In the book of Deuteronomy, the Lord said then, "I'll send rain on your land when it is needed. In the autumn and in the spring, you'll have an abundant harvest of grain and wine and olive oil." Metaphysically, anytime we see the word Lord, we can put in the word law. So when we work the law will work for us. We will get that rain, that nourishment at the exact right time that we need it, so that we can have grain, which is the mature seed, those mature ideas to hold on to. We can have wine, which is that connection between our soul and our body. And we can have oil. Oil is that thought that we have, and everything we touch with that thought, we recognize as holy. There's a story that comes from Jewish mysticism about the Holy Husks. The Holy Husk, and it comes from the teaching of Loria. There isn't any sphere of existence, organic or inorganic, that is not full of holy sparks. The holy sparks are mixed in with the husk and need to be separated and lifted up. Each day it is our task to release each spark from the shell, to separate the spark from the husk so it can return to its original golden self. And I like this on a number of levels. First of all, I get that very clear relationship, that clear connection between this and the metaphysics of this, and unity principle number 2. We are created in original virtue. Everything is created in original virtue. Everything is created in the image and likeness of God. God is love, we are love. God is light, we are light. God is holy, we are holy. And it's up to us to remember this, to do the spiritual work, the task that is ours, so we can return to our original golden self. The other thing I like about this is it invites us to recognize that with intention, we get a deeper understanding of the divine. So when we put our attention to releasing that inner splendor, releasing those sparks of the divine, then we actually get a clearer, deeper understanding of something that we had before. So when we're a little kid, when we're a child, we have one understanding of truth. But as we mature, as we grow up in consciousness, then we get a deeper, clearer, broader vision of the truth. It becomes more like that movement from the little t to the big T, because we're committed to understanding more and more and more of the divine. And in that understanding, we're willing to let go of old, outworn beliefs that no longer serve us. We're willing to release thoughts of lack and limitation. We're willing to eliminate a conviction that we used to have about gender, about race, about sexual orientation. We are willing to let the past be the past. And when we're willing to do all that, then we spark. We become more like what we were created to be. We become our original golden self. I've already confessed that I don't know much about farming, so I had to look up what the process of the harvest was. First, you reap. That means you take something and you cut the stalk. Like if you're reaping wheat, you cut the stalk, and what you have is a piece of straw with the husk still on it. The second part is threshing. That's when you beat it up a little bit so that the husk comes separated from the straw, and then you're left with the husk. And then the third part is called winnowing. And winnowing is when you separate the wheat from the chaff, so that husk comes off and you're left with the seed. Well, I had always wondered what winnowing was. because it shows up in the Bible all the time. In Proverbs, it says, when a king sits on his throne to judge, he winnows out all evil with his eyes. So metaphysically, what this means for us, or in Unity speak, when we become sovereign of our own mind, when we become sovereign or Lord of our own mind, then we can see from a higher perspective. We see with higher judgment, higher, clearer discernment. We can winnow out, we can unpeel that outer covering so that the beauty of us is completely revealed. So we winnow out evil. But what is evil? Evil is a misunderstanding of truth. We thought we knew what it meant, but now that we have more information, we're clearer. We winnow out that husk. And we're left with the beauty of the seed that we are. We're left with the light. We're left with our golden spark. We're left with our true, uppercase T, true selves. In the book of Matthew, Jesus said, you are the light of the world, and you are. You are the light of the world. We are the light of the world. I am the light of the world. Say that with me, please. I am the light of the world. Now make a connection with somebody, eye to eye, and say, you are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. You are the light of the world. And now we get to say, we are the light of the world. And you got to do it with your hands. We are the light of the world. Yes, we are. There's a Christian writer and preacher out of San Antonio, and his name is Max Lucado. Now, we don't always come into alignment. Unity and Max Lucado's philosophy is not always one-to-one, but there are places where the wisdom overlaps. One of his favorite maxims, or well-known maxims, is change your life by changing your heart. And I really like that, because in Unity we believe that the heart has a greater intelligence than the brain. He tweeted 3 days ago, he said this, when I learned playing the tuba in the high school band, I see in the church, not all play the same instrument or make the same sound. Some are soft, others are loud. Some convert the lost, others encourage the saved. Some keep us in step. We need each other. And as the collective light of the world, we do indeed need each other, born playing different instruments, but shining that one same divine light from within. He also tells, Max Lucado tells this fantastical story about a man and 4 candles. There was an electrical storm and a blackout occurred, so the man felt his way down the hall to his storage room, and he got in the storage room and he found some matches and he lit 4 candles. And as he picked up the biggest of the candles and started to walk out of the storage room with it, he heard a voice say, don't let me go out there. Told you it was fantastical. Don't let me go out there. And he looked around and said, what? Who's talking? And he heard the voice again. And he finally realized that it was the candle that was talking to him. And when he looked at the candle, he could even see a flesh-like face right there at the top of the candle, right where the flame was. And he says, I don't understand. What do you mean don't have you go out there? It's your job to go out there. It's your job to shine your light. And the candle said, I'm not ready. I need to do some more research. You know, it's very complicated. You think it's easy shining your light, but it's actually very complicated. And I'm telling you that not just any candle can go out and shine their light without proper training. It casts some ghastly glow if you're not properly trained. So the man finally says, okay, you can stay in here. I've got other candles, and that's all right. And he went to start to blow the candle out when he heard some other voices say, we're not going out either. And he's like, excuse me, and he looked around, and the other 3 candles were indeed speaking. They had the same kind of flesh-like faces, and they're like, we're not going out there. And the one said, you don't understand, I'm very busy. And he says, how can you be busy? It's your job to shine your light. It's your job to give light to the world. I need light in the other room, so you need to go with me. No, I'm very busy. I'm meditating. Because you know, when you meditate, you get enlightened. And he looked at the third candle and said, what's with you? And the third candle said, I'm not feeling very stable today. I'm a little shaky. I can't go out. And the fourth candle said in this beautiful voice that could melt butter, my job is not to shine my light. He says, well, what do you mean? Every candle's job is to shine its light. And the candle says, my job is to sing and support other candles. I'm only here to serve other candles. I have no light of my own. And it began to sing, this little light of mine. Alrighty, so it's a story, but I love the imagery it paints. I love hearing how those candles seem to have the same excuses that I have used before to not go out and shine my light. And I don't think I'm alone in this room saying, I think I need more research. I'm doing something very holy already, I'm meditating, or I'm feeling a little shaky today, or I'm not really here to shine my own light, I'm only here to help other people. I mean, how many times do we say that? The truth is that every one of us has that golden light within us. Every one of us is born to shine our light. We are the light of the world. So it's not about getting more information, it's about transformation. It's not about stabilization, it's about transformation. It's not about preparation, it's about transformation. It's not about validating whatever, it's about transformation. So we're going to sing I Am Holy Light, and then we're going to go into meditation. Because we can, as a part of our transformation.